Fire Radio.
Welcome back to Why Does It Itch So Bad? I am your host, the Shimek, with the Donch. Explain to me what itches.
Well, it is one of those things that sometimes you can't shake it. It's the season, it's a condition. I mean, I can't
Was
help
it the
it.
lawn? Was it camping?
Yeah,
Where were
you know what?
without pants?
You know what else it could be? It could also be the people in your life too.
Take a shower, New Jersey.
Shimek, what's up, pal?
I rushed home, sat in traffic.
That seems to be your theme.
Well, I got called in for overtime because, everyone seems to be working overtime nowadays. And, rushed home. So we're here.
Well, I'm glad you joined me, man. This is it's been fun, but I want to get back to our conversation. I said we literally just got on. There was no pregame here. This was on. You said something hilarious, and I wanted to explore it. And you said that I want to talk about your bicycle school. Tell me about this. What is this? Tell me again.
I've dropped out of, the joke. If you know me, you've heard this story, I'm sure. I've dropped out of every school I've ever gone to except one. Well, two, if you count EMT basic. I don't count that. I kind of just see that as, part of the step of going through recruit school and you get your EMT basic, So, bicycle mechanic school. Yeah. It's a 2-week certificate.
It's a 2-week program.
Oddly enough, my parents didn't fly out to Portland to watch me walk across the stage. So
no, huh?
I'm working on that in counseling. I'm getting over it.
That had to be hard for you.
Fine. But
that had to be hard for you. In all seriousness, did you go to bicycle repair school?
100% UTI, shout out, class of 2020, I believe it was. No, it was fun. I had a great time. I took out a small business loan to go, and I lied to them and told them what it was for. And then I flew to Portland, slept in a hostel for a couple weeks, and went to bicycle mechanic school. It was awesome.
What? I mean, you've been a fireman a long time, so this is what, a side hustle that you were looking at? Like learning the mechanics of bicycle repair?
In high school, I worked at a bike shop back in Minnesota. I've always ridden bicycles. It's fun. It's kind of something that when you know how to do it, people are like, hey, I don't know. Plan B or C for me is I can adjust your derailleur on your wife's bike someday and be like, hey,
I don't want you touching my wife's derailleur. Okay, we'll start there. That's a little personal, pal. I like you a lot, but I don't like you that much.
But it was a great time. And I always joke with the guys because sometimes some of these guys at the station, they've gone to college. They took a huge pay cut to be here.
Sure.
And I'm sitting there with a dumb grin on my face going, I've never made so much money, number one. And number two, I graduated from UTI in, Portland.
How much was bicycle college?
I think it was like $4,000.
Wow. Did you get a return on your investment or what?
Yeah, I worked at a bike shop here in town for several years until they went out of business. And then I just, I do my own stuff. And
do you like to bike?
Oh, I love riding bikes.
You do?
Really slow. I have a big steel frame touring bike, Surly.
So you're a street guy then? You like street bikes?
Yeah, I like to ride bicycles and,
No, but I mean, you're not like one of those mountain biking guys, those crazy guys that get up in the woods and do these ramps and crazy downhill shit.
No, I'm 40. What am I, 48 now? No. I don't fall off the stool and hurt myself. I'm done. This stays on the ground from now on. When I'm snowboarding, I promise the wife we keep it on the ground. So, no. But, that's the joke. It comes up maybe once every 6 months at work that Shimek graduated from bicycle mechanic school and he has the same job we have. And I'm like, yeah, he went to Auburn. So what does that say?
Good. Yeah. It looks favorable on me, not you, sir. Right? Like you went to Auburn and it cost you $300,000. Yeah. We're in the same job.
Lighten up, people. It's just
that's it.
Yeah. So, did you go
How
to
you
college?
doing?
Did you go to college?
I did. I went to Marist College in Poughkeepsie, New York.
Nice.
Got recruited to play Division I lacrosse there. And I got there, and I liked drinking beer and girls more than discipline and structure. And so I threw away my lacrosse career. Not that I would have made millions of dollars after college playing professional lacrosse, nor was I that good, but I was good enough to play D1. Yeah. And sure. I loved the game. I loved everything. I love team sports. I am a competitive person. And I love it's the same with the fire service. Like I talk about like the sandbox, right? It's like when you get up into the ranks of a chief or battalion or deputy and you're running a fire scene, it's like your sandbox, right? It's the same with sports. It's that X's and O's. It's that execution, that plan, and then delivery. I love everything about that, but I love the team aspect of it. And I was the big guy that sat on the crease. I was an attackman. I was a midi for a long time. If you know lacrosse, the midi goes up and down the field.
Okay.
Defense stays on one side. Attack stays on the other. So attack is your offense.
Very similar to hockey. I played hockey.
Very, very similar in a lot of ways, right?
Yeah.
And so I played midfield or midi for quite a long time. Then I was a long stick midi for a while. Long stick means you have a longer stick, obviously, but it's more defensive based because defensemen have longer sticks in lacrosse. Anyway, long story short, I ended up getting into playing attack, and I was the big guy in the crease knocking people on their asses and putting the ball in the net.
Great time.
And
Great stories.
I loved it. I absolutely loved it. Bench clearing brawls, finesse, just the game itself is so fast. They call it the fastest game on foot, right? Like, I think that's what they call it, at least. And there's a lot to that because it doesn't stop. But it is similar to hockey. There's penalty box. You go man up, which is like a power play.
I think a lot of hockey players actually play lacrosse in the
Yes, very similar.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
So I loved it, and that's what got me to Marist. And that was also because it was one of I applied to 8 or 9 schools, and I think that was one of 3 that I got into.
Well, UBI just said if you can make your payment,
If you can.
you're in. And oddly enough, I was on the water polo team for them for 2 weeks too while I was there, and scored a few goals. So
I don't believe you at all.
very no. There's the water polo team.
Not in a 4-week program, sir. You're too busy chain lubing and fixing the pegs on the back of my. I will tell you this: as a bicycle guy, you will appreciate this. I just had my childhood GT Performer.
What color is it?
Pink and blue.
Pink and my buddy Jeremy had the pink and white one.
This
how
thing
expensive those things are now? You know what you have, right?
Yes, and the guy. So it's been hanging in my parents' basement on the rafters under the garage. They have a basement under their garage, and it's been hanging on the rafters there since I was 15. And then I was down there. My parents are starting to clean out because they're looking at moving on to like an adult living place now. Not like assisted or anything, just going to a townhouse, right, instead of their home. And so they were cleaning stuff out, and I said, "Let me get my bike out of there." And then my daughter is she's a big metalhead. She loves music, and
cool.
She goes to the skate park with her friends.
Yep.
She skates, but she's not like she's good, but she's not great at like skateboarding. But she can do like ramps and stuff. And so I said to her, "Do you want me to refurb my bike for you?" And she goes, "Yeah." And so I took it, and I think it cost me like $800 to get this whole bike reworked. I needed, it needed a lot, but the bones were there. And I went and picked,
how they say that one of the strongest drugs is nostalgia.
100%. I love it.
And we're in our late 40s, pushing 50. Now we have a little bit of money. Like, I don't want to brag. I make like $14 an hour. So
I'm right behind you, sir.
And I'm like,
that's
what can
between
I buy?
2 jobs.
So I go back and I'm buying stompers, and I'm buying, old skateboards or, things that I had as a child. I have a few snowboards hanging on my wall. I've had 2, and the one I learned on is over here. You can't see. So, you start buying things. Well, that GT bike, my God, there are people out there that would pay you thousands of dollars for that, just for the memory. Yeah,
the guy, when I walked into the bike shop with that thing, the whole place stopped. And it was like, like needle off the record. All the guys there came out, looked at it. They're like, whoa, look at this, this and that. And I know it's valuable, and I know the slice of nostalgia it gives me. Like, I grinned every time I went in my parents' basement and saw it hanging there. I was like, one day I'm going to get this bike reworked. So I finally did it. And in fact, I think I'm going to bring it to the studio and just cruise around the studio with it.
It needs to be in the background or something.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just those little things like that, and I don't know. We have a few dollars in our pocket, and you get a little nostalgic. I got snowboards all over the house, that the wife's not allowed to touch.
48 years old, you and I, same, right? 77, we were born in. I remember when snowboarding was new.
I learned in 1987. My father lived in Denver, so growing up in Minnesota, we would fly to Denver, stay with him for a week or 2, and we'd always go skiing. So I didn't realize at, a young age of maybe 10-ish that I'm hanging out at Copper Mountain, I'm hanging out in Breckenridge, you know, and I'm doing these things. And I saw it one day and I said, Dad, I want to do that. And he goes, no problem. And the next year we came back and he signed me up for a lesson. Long story, really short, great story though. I signed up for a group lesson. I was the only one in the lesson. The prettiest woman in the world, next to my wife, walked up to me, and I'm 10, and she was probably 23. I think she was glowing, and she said, "Are you Chris?" I said, "Yes." And she goes, "Looks like you're my only student today." I learned how to snowboard in 5 minutes, no lie. And then she said, "Okay, you're ready." And we went to the top of the mountain, and we snowboarded for the half-day lesson together. And I acted like she was my girlfriend. No one believed me, I'm sure. But I was doing one of those, you know, like on the chairlift, like, you know, no.
Yep.
And I've been snowboarding ever since. I'm going to say 87, 86, 87.
Well, and I was a big skier, right? So growing up, we did like the Vermont trips every winter, rented a house for a week in Vermont, like, you know, and skied as a family. But I remember at that time, a lot of the mountains weren't allowing snowboarders. They
wouldn't allow them. Nope.
They were pushing back, and they said, we don't want this we ski here. There's no snowboarding. And then slowly snowboarding just consumed, you know, the industry.
It all comes down to money. You know how life works. Of
course.
When too many people are doing it and they're like, okay, now you have, you know, they were real big on leash laws back then because I don't know if you remember, they were so afraid they were going to come off our feet and hit a skier and kill him. You know, like this knife slicing down the mountain. And so the leash laws were huge, you know, like you got to have your leash on and, you know, but you get enough people doing something, they're going to let you on the mountain.
Well, it consumed the industry and, you know, and rightfully so. And you look at today, I mean, you know, I got to think there's probably more snowboarders than skiers. I mean, it's pretty wild.
Sometimes I'll throw on some skis and I'm not one of those, you know, you got to be this or that. I just like being outside.
Well, my downfall was I married a woman who doesn't ski. And when you do that, when you date a woman that doesn't ski and then you marry a woman that doesn't ski, guess what you don't do anymore? You don't ski. I miss it. About a year or two ago, I said to my wife, I would love to pick it up again, but going to be 50 in 2 years. I'm like, you know what? Well, no, I know, but I'm just saying, like, you know, of all activities to start picking up again, but I would love to do it. I'd love to get back to it. I miss it. I really enjoyed skiing. And I was a good skier. I mean, we skied all over the country. I loved it.
I've never been to Vermont where Burton was founded, and maybe when I'm up there, we'll get.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So, and then something else you said to me too, and this is why I wanted to do this with you today, because I feel like you and I, this conversation today is just so much fun for me. I needed this. Nostalgia, right? Like, so let me tell you where I've been going right now. G.I. Joe. Facebook Marketplace, I'm buying up G.I. Joe like crazy right now. I started collecting G.I. Joe memorabilia. Now, for people listening, because we have a wide range of people, I'm not talking about the 14-inch tall. I'm talking about the 6.5-inch tall figures. I'm not a Duke and Scarlet. I'm Flint and Lady J. So I was like the second generation of that G.I. Joe. But I had, growing up, I was a couple things. I was Lego, Playmobil, and G.I. Joe. But G.I. Joe to me was everything. And I had the rare bridge layer. I had the hovercraft. Like, I had so many things, and I had so many guys. Yeah.
BMX bikes. Like, we would build a jump out of anything. I remember that being a big thing. Like, can you jump that? I don't know why.
Yeah.
Still, 48, I still think about, can you jump that?
But this is our generation, right? Like, we
That's
grew
why
up.
When you your bike, I mean, please don't sell that bike.
No, I would never.
Okay.
I would never. That thing staying, that will be in my will. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe you'll be in the running, since I know that your
daughter sounds cool, so let's put her at the top of the list. Maybe the wife. And
but I can't choose one daughter over the other when it comes to something like that. It needs to go to a guy that goes to bicycle repair college would truly appreciate a gem like
I think
that.
I said UTI earlier. It's UBI, United Bicycle Institute. Shout out.
It's not a urinary tract infection.
It's a great school, and I love those guys. I'm not lying. I kind of want to go back and just redo it just to do it, because you spend 2 weeks riding your bicycle around Portland, getting involved in the scene, eating cool food, drinking cool microbrews, hanging out with people that like bicycles, playing pinball. It was just a great time. You're sleeping in a hostel. You know, it's kind of like.
It was also a time in your life, though, right? No, wait. This was not too long ago, right?
No, I was in my 30s. Yeah, because
Okay.
I refuse to grow up. I mean, if you're not learning,
Yeah.
my wife will come in here immediately. Surprise!
I love how you value. It's not. It's definitely learning a trade or learning, something new, right? But you're a big experience guy. I just sense that about you. You love the experience of things. When you came down to Alabama, it took you 13 hours for a 3-hour drive.
It took me 7.5 because I got stuck between Birmingham and Montgomery. I missed your speech completely. So for those listening, I walk up. First, I wanted to go meet and shake this man's hand, okay? Because we've been digital friends for a little while.
Yeah, we have, right?
But I'm like, I want to shake his hand,
right.
And see if he's got it.
And
and I walked up and I could tell that it was wrapping up because people were getting in their trucks and leaving. I'm like, son of a bitch, I missed. And you're like, man, you just missed my speech. I'm like, I just drove 7.5 hours. And you're like, you want to go get a beer? I'm like, yeah, I want to go get a beer. And then and it was a great time. And we hung out that night a little bit, hung out in the morning a little bit, and it was a great experience. I came home and it was 100% worth it. I would do it again right now, but speaking of experiences, and you just, you getting this thing moving. It's early.
Yeah.
We were talking about this at the fire station yesterday, how you got to start kind of enjoying the experience of being here. And I think sometimes we forget that. And I do. I'm guilty of it too. The finger's pointed here first. I've spent 22 years almost now, and I don't know if I've actually realized how much fun I was having with just being part of the team and being here. And obviously you don't want to see people hurt or, we do a lot of things sometimes that are terrible. We don't want to see people's houses burned down. But the actual experience of being a firefighter and being with the guys and the girls and being like-minded and just having a good, having your lieutenant, bust your balls a little bit on the ride to Chick-fil-A to get sandwiches or just, we're having a good time, guys. Do you realize that? And we're going to retire in 3 years. And they're like, oh, we have had quite a few, and then it rolls into stories and then it rolls into conversation. And then you start talking about things. And I don't know. Sometimes I think we need to stop and smell the roses. We should write that down. That's a great saying. Put it on a poster.
Fortune cookie. And yeah, I agree with you. I think I did a podcast last night with Brian Nardelli, who is a chief in Brockton, Massachusetts, and he's just he's a rock star. He's a fireman. He's a fireman's chief. Like, he empowers his people to be their best, do their best. And we were chatting about a ton of things last night. Haven't released the episode yet. It will probably be out before this one. So, but my point is this: Mickey Farrell, who you met right down in Alabama, right? So Mickey's got Top Floor Tactics on our podcast channel, right? The NFR Media Group, and so on. And Mickey and I have become very good friends, and something we've been talking about a lot. And I love how he puts it. And I'm going to butcher it because I'm not as poetic as he is. But what he says is, it's not so much about going to fires; it's about who you're going to fires with.
That's great.
Right?
Write that down.
And when you think about that, it's like, yeah, it doesn't. So I was talking about that with the chief last night, and I said, you're right, because you can go to a fire with guys that you're not close to or you don't have that, you're not jiving with, and the after fire glow is not the same. It's just not the same, right? And so it really comes down to the people we want to be with. When we can share experiences, not just the fire, but the firehouse shenanigans or cooking in the kitchen or the cocktail party or the barbecue or the bar mitzvah, whatever it is. It's the people that truly is what it's all about. At the end of the day, the fires come and go, but it's the people that you constantly will fall back on.
We need to remind ourselves how much fun we're having sometimes.
Right?
And because we get a little wrapped up in the complaining. Firemen, we hate change, and we also hate the way things are, but we lose sight of it sometimes. I'm guilty of it too. And sometimes we got to have a good day at the station to go, we're really lucky to be here, and you get to help the citizens. You get to do some cool stuff. You get to, it's just, I don't know. I don't think the guys working at the paint department in Home Depot are having this much fun.
No, but this job allows for that. And what I think is really good, well, what I worry about is we're ruining it for ourselves we are losing track of the good of this job, and which then gives us a sour taste, and then the negativity can kind of creep in. I've been watching a lot lately on social about things being said, and there's a lot of people out there that are saying, like, don't give yourself to this job because this job will let you down. It's not worth it. You take care of your family, you this and that. And I don't disagree about your family. Like, your family obviously comes first. There's no doubt, your kids, your wife. But there's an for lack of better words, some type of balance. But you have to go all in on something like this because the reward is huge. And when you don't allow yourself or don't give yourself the opportunity to fall in love with it and stay in love with it, I think you're cheating yourself. And I think it's an easy cop-out to say, this job will disappoint you, so don't give yourself to it. I don't know. I have a hard time with that because I look at my life and I look at, like, what I do. And obviously, I mean, I run a media company now, National Fire Radio, NFR Media Group. Like, I love the fire service, and it's consumed me to the point that it's my lifestyle. And I look at who I talk to, my friends, the Shimek, right? Like, you and I met because of this, right? Because the fire service is important to me, and it's a lifestyle for me. It's the people I choose to hang with, the people I talk to, the type of content I look at, the things. Listen, we were talking about nostalgia, bikes and G.I. Joe and all that other stuff. Those are other interests in life, and we both have families that we absolutely unconditionally love and be a part of their lives too. But there's still room for you to have your own love for the fire service. And I said this last night in that podcast with Chief Nardelli was I taught my program a couple of weeks ago to 65 career fire chiefs in Massachusetts at the State Fire Academy. And my message, and I was so intimidated by walking into that room because there's so much gold. I mean, it was just brass from all these cities across Massachusetts were there. And they didn't know what to expect from a program like mine. And when I'm like, how do I make the biggest impact on people that have probably 20 plus years in the fire service that wear gold and have not ridden a back step probably in several years? There's obviously going to be some disconnect. How do I get through to them? And my message to them was very simply this: you write your own narrative. If you have 30 years in the fire service and you don't love it like the day you walked in, you still have time to change that. And I challenge them to remember the love for the fire service and where they came from. We all came in. Every single person has been in the fire service, has fallen in love with it at one point. You might not be at the same level of love and care for it today.
You might be falling over your career, obviously.
No, and the highs and lows, right? The ups and downs. But I challenged those chiefs that day to remember those moments. And I said, and before you turn the light off in your office and walk out into the sunset, I said, you have the ability to find that passion and love again for this job. Now go do it.
And you can lead by example by being open about it, or
it goes so far with your own people when they see that.
I think, what did you say? You said something like the fire service is getting ruined, or what was the word?
I'm worried that we are too focused on ourselves and not so much on the fire service today as something bigger than us.
Okay.
Mission first. Everything else comes second.
I think it's our fault.
Yeah.
I think it's the firefighters' fault for, I don't want to say ruining this career, because like when you say you don't want to give your life to this career because it's not going to give back or something, well, that's because we're not doing the right things to make it a better place to be.
That's right.
So if, when I noticed that we have a problem and I stood up and I said something about it, which started all of this stuff, the CIV stuff, is like, look, I don't want the new guy to wake up in 10, 15, 20 years from now and think the same thing I'm thinking now, because then we just kicked the can down the road, and now there's less people that want to work here because this place will take it from you if you don't talk about it, if we don't fix problems. And so we have to take responsibility and go, look, I may be leaving in 3 years, but I need to leave this place. This is Boy Scouts. I need to leave this place better than I found it. And if I'm seeing a problem, I'm not going to walk past it. I'm just going to go, hey, I think this is an issue. We need, I take it personal. I want to talk more about it. And, 20, 30 years from now, hopefully we're getting back to a better place with the mental health stuff. Because that's where my main focus is like, look, let's make this less of a burden when you're 20 years into your career. Let's make it more okay to lean on each other. Blue shirts get blue shirts. Let's make it okay to bring your wives and family in and understand what we do. And sometimes it gets dark. We have a lot of people committing suicide, a lot of people having a, drugs and alcohol problem. And we're so afraid to talk about it because we're still trying to get over that first hurdle is the stigma. It's okay to talk about it. And if it's people like you and I, if it's other people that can make it okay for you, say something, say something. Let's do a better job.
I want to say this, right? I think you and I are lucky.
Oh,
I think
100%.
we're lucky because we have this. And if there's anything that I can share with people that are struggling is you can have this too. You can have conversation. Like I was looking forward to catching up with you this morning. I had no idea where this was going to go. We both clicked into the studio and we start the first sentence in. I'm like, hold on, we're recording. We got to start recording.
This is good stuff. Out of college right? 7 times except for one, United Bicycle Institute.
And what I would say is this is like, this is fun. I was looking forward to this morning that I have the opportunity to do this, but this only happens because we seeked it out. And I would challenge
it to be okay. We're allowing it to be fun. We're allowing to have a good time. You're allowing to go, hey, this can all roll over into work and family. It's contagious. The rookie sees you talking, going, well, if Jeremy's okay talking, if the Donch is fine, then I'm fine. And then if he's okay to say something, then maybe I'll say something. Or if you're having a hard day, let me carry more of the weight. If I'm having if you see me struggling or my shoulder hurts today, you might carry a little extra weight for me. You know what? For the rest of the day, I got the medical bags. It's just those little, we're on the team and we're having a good time. And sometimes we lose sight of it. And then you get a little older and you realize I've been having a lot of fun. And I'm kind of sad that it's going to end soon. I'm excited for the next chapter, but there's a lot of guys behind me and men and women behind me that are. When
did that hit you? When did you have that moment where you're like, wait a minute?
We had a lieutenant.
I'm on the backside of my career, and I better make sure that my time left, I recognize how much fun this is.
Well, it happened. I'm retarded. It happened with that rookie that day when when all this started with I'm having a hard time breathing and the smoke reference, which if you go back and watch some of my videos, I talk about the smoke in the box and ventilating the room. But before that, it happened when a lieutenant retired that was very knowledgeable, and he was on I was on his shift. He wasn't on mine. I was on his, and I knew when it was hitting the fan. We're talking these big calls, the big wrecks, the really technical rescues. When I knew he was coming, I knew let's maintain, let's keep this calm because he's coming. And when he retired, boy, it felt like I lost a wing on the plane. And
really,
and I'm like, well, who's coming now? And we started having conversations like, okay, when this happens today on the interstate, who's coming? And the guys were like, I don't know. Who knows what he knows? Who did he train? Luckily we have a lot of guys that I'm aware of now that are very high speed and very, so I'm good. But that was the first reminder that, hey, people leave and they take that knowledge. And then when it happens, who's going to tell us what to do? Because I was just a young, I wasn't very far into my career. So it started way back. But the mental health stuff started with the rookie and then I turned it around and started looking at me and some of the things I've dealt with. And I realized, 2004 Hurricane Ivan, that call really messed me up. I've never talked about it. It just steamrolls. It's amazing what happens when you just make it okay to have a conversation.
Without a doubt. I mean, it truly too, it comes to talking about like a hot wash after a fire, or tailboard talk, right? Or an after action, right? For the formal title of it. But when the boss of the company or a chief opens up with, this is what went down, this is what it looked like, I think I might have been able to do this better. Okay, you tell me. Like when it comes from the top like that and you set the stage that it's okay to talk about it, that unless it's an egregious error on the fire ground that will be dealt with later, you're not going to be reprimanded. So I want to hear what you fell down on. I want to hear your successes. I want to know in that hot wash what we did right and what we didn't do right. And when it comes from the top at the beginning and it sets the tone that allows that backstep 3-year fireman to open up about his operations, and he's like, I did this, this, and this. I could have probably hit this quicker, got there faster, done this better. But it sets the stage that allows him to have that conversation. And
simple.
And that's the tone. We want to set that tone to make people comfortable and understand that their place matters and that we want to hear from them.
The only difference that I don't disagree with you, but I'm just saying, I think what we're doing here is we're starting from the bottom up instead of the top down. Because what we're doing is, the bottom of the pyramid has all the workers, and we're down here working, and when we're talking amongst ourselves, it trickles up. This is a trickle up thing.
Okay.
And so when a chief pulls me aside in the hallway for that 2-second talk, when you're passing by and he goes, hey man, I like what you're doing, or I appreciate that, or do you need anything? It lets me know that they're listening and they're hearing, and it's getting up there. But I'm not, we're all aware that when the chief sends out a new SOG, we all go, oh, for SOGs, But when the guys get together and start doing something, it's safer, it's easier, people buy into it. It's a little more, it's us.
I get it.
I get it. It's the blue shirts. So.
Yeah, the blue shirts. I mean, that's the Broadway Bullies, man. That's New York Rangers, by the way, the blue shirts. But, but hey, that's just a New Jersey, New York kid up here. So there's so much to that. I agree with you. I think all of it works. I think there's a place for it from the top down and certainly from the bottom up, right? Conversation is ventilation, CIV. This has really consumed you in a lot of ways. And I know it's probably helped you in your own journey.
100%.
But you are making an impact, and you are leaving it better than you found it, as that cliche saying goes. And I love your story. I love the whole, the aspect of, I used to fade into the background. I was never somebody that was not a standout, this and that. But you've come to realize where you can really make an impact with your career and your love of this job. And you are making that impact. And that's what drew me to you. I found you online. I'm like, who's this guy? I was like, what is this? And I sensed this, this fun, this fun way about you. And I was like, this guy can get through to people because there's a real sense of realness here.
There's an approach and a delivery that some people have, and I think you have it, I have it. I think sometimes people just need to hear something in a funny way, or sometimes people just need to laugh for a minute. Travis Howes, I want to shout out to him. Have you talked to him yet?
No, I want to. Actually, it's so funny you said that. I literally the other day saw a clip of him and go, I got to send him a message.
He was up in Tennessee a couple weeks ago. The wife and I and a buddy jumped in the van and drove up, 2-hour drive up, and saw him, because he is the Peyton Manning, the Tom Brady of what I'm looking at doing, or just, the mental health side. And there was 2,000-3,000 people in this place, and they sat there. Not a single phone went off. Not a single person got up and walked out or moved around. There was no distractions. And that man stood on a stage. It was awesome. And so he needs to be on National Fire Radio.
I got to get him. So if you got it in, let me know. But I'll cold call him. I'd love to get him on. I see his content, and it is powerful. It is emotional. You're right. I haven't seen him in public, but you can just sense from the social media that he puts out the impact that he makes and the rawness of his message.
He has people pay a few dollars, to go and sit down in person and listen to him say stuff. Think about that. And nowadays, to get people to sit still, to turn their phone off or not be staring at it, and then you got to say, I need $25 from everybody, and then everybody sits quietly and participate. 2,000-3,000 firemen and medics and jailers and dispatchers are sitting there listening. It's amazing. We were driving home. I'm like, can you believe that many people did something on, and sat still for 2 hours? It was just, I don't know. Travis House is, he's amazing. Read his book, by the way. He's got another one coming out, I believe. So he needs to be on National Fire Radio.
I'd love to get him. So, yeah, I mean, this is, it's been fun. I took a couple months off to focus on a couple things that I've been working on. And, the podcast, man, and I it's a lot. It's a lot of work to consistently put out a show. You have to line up, guests, scheduling, timing, and then obviously to, sponsors and advertisers, all these different things, right? It consumes you, and we have multiple shows that we carry on our network, and we're actually restructuring all of it. So the second half of this year, we're the NFR Media Group, which will be the holding company for all of the groups now, or all the platforms. So we're kind of cleaning up in the corporate side of things and so on. So all of that takes considerable work, and that's really what I've been focusing on. And so it's been a fun go to kind of build out the framework for the future of what National Fire Radio was, just a few years ago. And
did you use the analogy ESPN of fire, or did I make that up?
Barstool.
Okay, because last night I was at the station, I was saying, well, Donch's goal is to be the ESPN of fire. And someone said,
well, it's that too, right? There's so much opportunity out there. What I find, and where I think the big I think why we are successful in what we do, why we have the reach that we have, and the trust and loyalty of people that are in our community. And I say our community, I'm talking about the fire service, right? It's because so many people that get involved in things like this make it about themselves. And I'm a big personality. I'm very opinionated. I'll put out my own opinion pieces. I'll do all that. But I do that to promote the betterment of the fire service and to excite people about the job. And I don't, through all the activities that we're involved with, all the different channels, from media marketing to consulting to advertising and sponsorships to social media, the podcast to filmmaking, like all these things we're doing. All these projects we're involved with, we are allowed to take permissions in so many different lanes. We are so diverse in what our approach is. And it's because I firmly believe that from the get, we did not do anything but pay it forward. We always wanted to do the right thing. And what's really cool is I had a guy give me a compliment probably a month or two back, 7 years into this. He said something to me that was so kind, and it really was people say nice things all the time. There's plenty of hate too. It comes with the landscape. But this one guy said to me, he goes, yeah, but Jeremy, you're like the Joe Rogan of the fire service.
Oh.
And I'm like, I sat back because I listen to Rogan, right? Rogan is a podcast that I listen to regularly.
I think everyone.
And I'm like, you know what?
Joe Rogan.
That's pretty cool because, I think about my interviews and I think about when I talk with people, and I'm able to get my own ideas across in each episode, but I truly love to sit back and listen. And I love conversation, like you, obviously conversation, right? And so I think that's what Joe Rogan does really well, is he allows people to have a platform to speak and to get their ideas and thoughts out there. And I put on anybody and everybody I want. I don't have this one focus, and I'm just not a yes man. I don't sit there, yeah, tell me more. Yeah, this is great. Do that. I'm not that way. And so when that guy said that to me, I took pause with that. And then when I was flying home from that weekend, it was at a conference, I said to myself, I'm like, damn. I'm like, that's a great compliment.
And
there's a lot of fire service podcasts out there. There's a lot of people that do a lot of good in the fire service. But for somebody to say that to me and they regard me like that, that's cool, man. That's really cool.
That compliment just put 5 years worth of fuel in the tank.
Without a doubt.
It's the same thing as when someone will come up to me on and just say, hey, we'll have a private conversation for 30 seconds. And I come home and I tell the wife, hey,
bang.
Yep. It may not happen as often as, the podcasts or, but people are listening or you're having an impact. And people like you and I, when you're affecting people or people are listening or people want to, when you just, it's helping. I don't need any recognition. I just want to know that I'm paying it forward. I want to do a better job, leave it better than I found it. And when people like that guy who gave you that compliment, they're listening. And he took a minute to say something and you're like, okay, there's 5 more years of fuel in the tank. Let's go.
It's really rewarding to know when you get some feedback that people do listen and they pay attention. And, I mean, I can't even tell you how many times I've gotten messages from guys about their careers or their family. And, a lot of times people enjoy when I talk about family dynamics and I talk about my wife and my kids and so on, because I have real conversations about that. I say it all the time. I'm a terrible husband, a terrible father, a terrible fireman. Like, you know what I mean? I have a good day and then I suck the next day. Like,
it's okay.
That's just reality, but it's real conversation.
People want to, it's just real. I mean, it's not scripted. It's not, it's just genuine. And, I think you can pick up on whether someone's trying to sell you something or not. And I'm not here to sell you anything.
That's it.
I just want to.
That's it.
And you can't.
100%.
Yeah, you can't fake that. People can see through the bullshit real quick, but I don't know. And people say, you got it, Shimek. I'm like, okay. Then I'll just keep yapping away on the internet with my fat head talking about it. But people are listening and okay. It feels good. And I love what you do.
For you, right? Like, I don't, there's no end game, right? I mean, this, right. And so, like, that's what I look at is, like, I always thought, like, oh, I'm going to build this thing into a monster and we'll flip it, right? And I'll walk off into the sunset. And then I came to realize in life, and that was very early on, right? Then I came to realize in life, like, it's not about the money. And as I get older, I'm really starting to understand this and craft a narrative around this. It is not about the money. It's about the experience and the people. And at the end of the day, I think that is why we'll win. It's legacy. It's doing it for the right reasons. And when you put nothing more than just paying it forward, when paying it forward truly is your mission at heart, I leave money on the table every single day in every project I do, every advertiser I talk to, every consultation I do for a manufacturer. I promise you I leave money on the table every single day. And the
motivation, then we're doing it wrong from the very beginning.
Without a doubt.
No one has ever become a firefighter or a first responder or a jailer or a medic for the money. And this isn't for the money either. I'm not even close to having someone give me 5 cents. You know what I mean? So
I'll get you a cup of coffee. That's fine. There's no worries.
Like, how many views you got? I don't know, a couple hundred, but YouTube, I'm nothing. That's not the point. And it's very freeing when you can get up and go, well, I don't have to post every day or have a video every day or have guests. We can just let this be what it wants to be for a while. And what is the end game? I don't know. Change people's lives, pay it forward, help be a good human being, so I can retire in a few years and go, yeah, I can hold my head up high and be there for when people want to have a conversation or just all these little simple preschool stuff. I say that all the time. It's preschool stuff.
Has it been good for you?
100%. It's helped me more than anyone that I'm aware of so far. I think it's all here right now, but I've learned that if you're hurting or you have a problem, if you talk about it and you let it out, let the smoke out, it helps you first, but it's also helping everyone that's listening. And I've learned that.
Does your wife get it?
100%. She's heard it a million times. She sees it. She sees what it's done for our marriage, what it's done for my career.
Yeah.
I think I'm a better friend and brother and husband. Yeah, I mean, this job can get its claws on you and really hold you down if you allow it. And I want people to understand that there are times in your 25-year career that you may be susceptible to really getting some things stuck, and just holding you. And we've got to open up that front door and positive ventilate that room. We've got to let some of that smoke out. We learned it in recruit school. Get some of that heated gas and smoke out of here. When you have 2-year rookies that have held, dead children multiple times are like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. And and then the look in their eyes is like, how is 23 more years? Is this what it is? I'm like, yeah, unfortunately it is. We have to do a better job for ourselves and for each other and take care of each other. It's not rocket science.
Yeah, I have found that what I get to do with National Fire Radio is my therapy.
Mm-hmm.
It has made me a better person personally, not just, I think it's made me a better fireman, obviously, but I think it's made me a better husband, a better father, a better friend. And it also has opened my eyes to what friendship should be compared to what a friend versus an acquaintance is. My circle has become very small and very trusted. And I am more open. I had a conversation this morning with one of my closest friends that was pretty powerful. And it's like years ago, I would have never, ever had that conversation with somebody, and today I did. And it's because there's this unconditional trust built in because I've surrounded myself with people that I can absolutely trust. And at 48 years old, I'm only learning it now. I'm getting it now. And that is the exciting part, because you look at growth. You look at your personal growth. You grow in the fire service from, your probie years to your backstep years to, if you decide to promote and come up the line, or you just become a senior fireman. There's a progress, right? It's the process. You trust the process, right? All those things. It's exciting that at almost 50 years old, I'm starting to really navigate life in a way that I like.
See, isn't that weird?
I love looking in the mirror. Yeah.
We're 48 and we're just, I'm not saying I'm just figuring out, but you and I are we're on the same page. We're realizing these things now. Then why do we expect 23-year-old rookies to know how to handle
I agree.
this? We have to help them. And we have to turn around and go, here is a toolkit for you. Here is what we do, because you're too young to understand this. So I'm 48 and we're just realizing we're having a conversation of 48. Imagine that 23-year-old rookie right now at the station running calls. Who's looking for, who's helping him or her? There's no way that I was expected to know this when I walked in 2004.
Yeah. Right.
And then I don't want to, I'm not saying they dropped the ball, but in a little bit they did. They didn't help us. They didn't, there was no mentoring. There was no conversation. There was no, it's just that shove it down, don't talk about it, rub dirt on it mentality, which doesn't work. And, you can't expect a 24-year-old to understand.
Do you find, so here's where I have a little bit of hard time with this, and I would love for you to break this down for me. And we might have even talked about it before. I don't know if it was on a previous episode or just in person or whatever conversation, but we have made tremendous strides in mental health and recognizing that, conversation is important. We also have most departments have more tools than ever before at our disposal now that our people can take advantage of. And you hope that they're all there for the right reasons, meaning the department has put together a program that truly represents the need for help in assisting our own people and nothing more than that. But I also worry that sometimes it becomes a catch-all and, where we lack our own accountability for certain things, and it's just easier to blame the system or the firehouse instead of taking responsibility for some of our own stuff. And that's where I get conflicted, because there's things that I see and it's like, oh, mental health, PTSD, alcoholism, drugs. And I go, yeah, you can blame the job if that's what you want to do, but is that truly the issue at hand? Or could it be that you're just skirting responsibility? And if that's the case, and you're not taking responsibility for your own actions, and it's easier to just blame the catch-all of mental health, are you ever going to truly progress in your forward trajectory? And that's the muddy part of mental health that I struggle with, because I am kind of a believer that sometimes you have to spit on it and rub dirt on it, right? Like sometimes you have to do that. And sometimes you shouldn't have to, because I worry, let me just get this out because I'm playing it out in my head. And I'm trying to be politically correct about it too, without just going down this path of like, suck it up, buttercup, you know? But my thing is that sometimes we want to make it public and let people know that I'm struggling for the optics of it and the attention of it, instead of truly coming at it in a way that I need help, I'm struggling.
Because then it gives you an excuse.
And I think that is my hardest part when we talk about mental health. And that's why I don't talk a lot about it on our show. It's because I'm conflicted with, sometimes it's your fault and it's still a trauma, but it might not be job related. It could be poor choices in your relationships, poor choices in your family, poor choices at your job that aren't firematically related. Like, you bring on some of your own carnage, but do we just get to blame the job and say I have a mental health issue?
The beauty of when you know, and I'm not a doctor, of course, but I mean, I think the beauty of when you...
No, you're a bicycle mechanic.
Hey, now. I need to find that certificate and frame it, put it on the wall.
Please do. Put it on the wall.
When I get off.
Right next to your little note there that says, like, stay positive,
stay together.
You look good,
yeah.
Today will be your day.
No, so I'm here on kind of like a preschool level. I want you to open the door and I want you to ventilate, okay? Once you become okay with being a little more open and a little more vulnerable, or finding someone that you can be vulnerable with and just let some of this out, I think the job will come out in the smoke. I think your family life will come out, childhood trauma, marriage issues, drug and alcohol, whatever is in there. I think once you learn, do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, when you open the door and you become comfortable and start talking, then you can start working on what is the real problem. You know, it may not always be the fire service.
Yes.
You could have childhood trauma from your parents.
Yes.
And then you go into a job where we see traumatic things. And then now you're on your third marriage and you drink too much. And you're like, all of these negative things that you're doing has been affecting you. And then when you finally learn to start opening up about it, and I think that's where I'm at. I just want to encourage people to ventilate that room. Let it out. Let's have a conversation in a group, one-on-one, with a priest, with your doctor, with a mental health, it doesn't matter. I don't want to put it in a box and say, this is the steps, whatever it is that works for you, because we're all just trying to be good people, good husbands,
Yes, I agree with you. I agree. Yes. Everybody should have an environment that allows them to vent.
There are a lot of guys that'll sit at the station, and like what we do in the recliners, sitting together, watching TV has been a tremendous help for a lot of our guys. Just that simple first step. Like, I don't really feel like I need to see anybody, Shimek. I'm like, you don't have to. We're just talking. Like, that it really helps, or it feels good to know you were on the scene with me, or we did this, or a lot of us just need to let it out a little bit. That's what counseling is. You walk out of counseling with your wife and you want to go to couples counseling. You haven't? Okay. I have.
I have not. I
was waiting for you to back me up on that one, but
no, but listen, we probably should have gone several times.
When you walk out of there and you look at your wife or your husband or whoever, and you go, hey, I feel better. You're like, why? Because he didn't really say anything. We just sat in there and talked. Like, yeah, because we felt comfortable and we had a conversation and we vented and we just talked about some things. And then I found out you feel this way and I didn't realize it's just this simple thing. It's so easy.
I'm not a big therapy guy.
That's what we're doing. You don't realize it.
Well, I know that. And I wonder if that's where I'm going with this, right? Is like, I wonder if this truly is like some of my therapy, because
100%.
I have a hard time understanding. Like, I have a hard time with it because there's been a lot of shit in my life that you're like, okay, well, you got to pick yourself up and go do it anyway. Like, you don't get, for me, I don't know if I've regressed so much that it stays buried and maybe one day it's going to come out in a goddamn rage. But like, I don't know.
Every time you hit record on your podcast, you're in counseling. Whether you're over in Poughkeepsie talking about their hose lay and how they load their truck, I think I'm looking at it as like, you're putting it out there. You're venting. You're having a conversation with people. Why do you do it this way, Chief? And they talk and they show us. And we go, oh, that's a cool way to do it. Or just you're in the counseling business. It's in the fire service. We're talking fire.
What I find interesting then is like a lot of times the counselor always needs a counselor, right? Because I do find myself being a sounding board for so many, and I do find myself off the air, outside of the podcast, that
That's
a lot
natural.
of people lean on me for advice or, information or what have you. And,
You're very approachable.
My guys in the firehouse will probably tell you differently, but
Nah, they're just busting your balls. I walked up to you, and yeah, I've seen you. After that event, we went out for some drinks and dinner, and we're all just hanging around. And there was probably 50, 75 firemen in that bar.
Yeah.
People walking up to you like they know you, and you're shaking hands, and you're an approachable guy, and so you're making an effect on them, and you're making it okay to go back and whether it's talk about their hose lay and how Poughkeepsie does it better, or their hose deployment, or their nozzle selection, or mental health, or because they heard the Donch talk about it, or you might say something that sparks something that they take back to the next shift and go, hey guys, let's sit around and talk. You never know. You're counseling. You're a counselor. No, it's not.
It fucking is, man.
No, it's not.
I'm telling you.
Because you're paying it forward. You're a genuine guy.
I appreciate it. You're right. And as we sit here today and we joke around, like this is a form of therapy for me. And and I think that's maybe why I love it so much. That's my selfish takeaway from this, right? Is that like, I want people to know, like I want to see how many people show up at my funeral. That's what I'm working towards. Like I want to make an impact in everybody that I come across. That's why it's so important to me, like you said, approachable. Like when people come up to say hello, I make a point of introducing myself to them if I'm in a circle, and I'll put my hand out and shake their hand. I try to shake everybody's hand and look at them in the eyes, and whether it's a 5-second conversation or an hour-long conversation, there is something about that interaction, and I wish more people could have that, because the value that you get out of that, knowing that you've made an impact there's so much to that, so much to it.
It's yeah. This is probably what a musician feels like. You know how when they walk into a bar and everybody turns and knows that guy, like, yeah, that's the lead singer for the Rolling Stones. Does Mick Jagger feel like that? I don't know. You're not Mick Jagger. You're Mick
definitely
Jagger.
not. Definitely, my bank account certainly is not the same.
No, it's all about just being positive and making an impact, and we all have our own ways of doing it, and different approaches, and different conversations, and different things we want. There's guys at the station right now that are trying to make an impact on being better at deploying ladders, or we all have our roles. We all have our strengths and weaknesses. We all have, but we're a team. We're all in it together. And this should be fun, and we should be having a laugh, and we should be open about some things, and not be afraid to fail and go, well, how could I do that better? Or it's okay. This isn't that serious, and
no, I like that. I like that a lot. I think, and that's kind of how we opened with all of this, is like, enjoying the ride. Right.
Laugh.
And,
yeah.
The other important thing to say in regards to that, though, too, is, this is a bumpy road. And, there are going to be highs and the lowest of lows. And it's that middle ground, I think, is, the highs bring us back center, and the lows remind us that there are highs. And we have to find that balance. And balance is not easy for most people.
No, true. And that's why we can't expect these young recruits to understand that. They don't.
Yeah.
I'm the first one to admit I really did not understand what I was signing up for. And it's not because I'm dumb, but it never dawned on me because I was too busy trying to get through training. I knew that you were going to have to kill me to get me out of here. So I'm going to left-hand search another time, or I'm going to do that drill again. I'm just going to load that hose. I'm going to deploy that. I'm just going to 1 foot in front of the other. I'm just going to keep going. And if I fall down dead, I'm dead. But I'm not quitting, and I want to be, I didn't have time to really think about what it's going to be like when I'm on the floor and we run a call. And then it's, and that's one of my big focuses is like, let's make sure they're prepared and understand what we do. And let's have some honest conversations about things. And then when they happen, let's make sure we're following up with honest conversations. It's okay to have feelings about things, or it's okay to be.
It's got to come from a real place. And if you're willing, see, that's the hardest part, right? Is like the ones that are willing to listen. It takes work and commitment to listen. And so many are so focused on themselves that they don't pick their heads up and look around. Their heads are always down, focusing on themselves and not those around you. And what I would challenge people is like to understand the value of picking your head up and looking around and seeing where you can make an impact and a difference. But it takes work. It's that no environment. Saying no is easy. You control the conversation by saying no, because no work has to be done. But when you say yes, you empower people. But the backside is it takes tremendous work to say yes, because then there has to be follow through and execution. And that's my biggest struggle with this is that, yeah, man, I love everything that you do and the awareness you're bringing and the creation of just, it's okay to have a conversation. But I challenge guys to pick their heads up and look around and understand that when you do engage someone, you could potentially go down a road where you got to put some work in. And we need you. The fire service requires that of you. We need you to put that work in.
Well, it's no different than when we get on a scene.
Correct.
You're going to be expected
but
to work.
And even those guys, and we're even dropping a ball there, though. You know what I'm saying?
Sometimes.
So if we're dropping a ball on a fire ground, we're certainly dropping a ball on our own people.
We're just trying to leave it better than we found it. Boy Scouts, Troop 365, Waconia, Minnesota.
I was Troop 34, got kicked out. Not kicked out, I just faded away.
365.
My brothers went, not Eagle Scouts, but they went pretty high. I got out at like freshman year.
Camping, doing a bunch of cool stuff outside. Being a kid.
Did you get that bicycle repair merit badge? Did you put that on your sash?
I think we had a dirt jumping merit badge, and I built the biggest dirt jump. No, I want to go. Sometimes I want to go back to be a kid. Knowing,
100%. I said that yesterday.
Knowing what you know now, would you go back? 100%.
Oh,
and I build jumps, and I'd go outside every day, and I would ride my bike and have laughs.
Bro, we built forts.
Build forts. Go swimming.
I stole my father's tools at like 8 years old I was using a circular saw at 8 years old with a 500-foot extension cord to get it into the woods to cut trees that you're not even supposed to use a circular. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how I have all my fingers, I have all my toes, but I have scars all over my body, right?
We built more launch ramps for skateboards and bicycles out of found wood, used nails. Who knows? I'm still here. What a great time. So
I talk about that in my program with the generational conversations, and I say, Generation X, our generation, I mean, that's who we were, right? It was life before the internet, and obviously it's life now. And so we were that generation that left when the sun came up and came home when the sun went down. And as cliche as that is, it's very true. And our neighbors would, you knew where everybody was by where all the bikes were.
Do you remember when
that's how you?
I was telling somebody the same thing about how the worst thing you could do to me when I was a kid was ground me and make me stay in the house for the week. You remember? Because that was these kids are, they're on their video games. They're young kids. And I'm like, the worst thing you could do to me when I was 10 was make me stay in the house.
Right.
Because I was
looking out the window while your kids are buzzing, all your friends are buzzing up and down the street.
Or playing football in the street, and you're like, I can't be outside for a week. This is, and that's the worst thing in the world. Yeah, go outside.
It was a fun time to grow up, and I think we were the last generation to really experience that freedom of a safe environment. There was no fear, there was no, my parents had no idea where I was. I mean, we were getting in trouble. We're, trying to find, trying to pinch a 6-pack from the liquor store's dumpster. We're trying to find, get a nudie mag out of the quickie shop. Like you're going to a girl in your grade to her soccer practice, and like,
we were in
you
the
know what I'm saying?
quarry
Like you
swimming.
cruise. Yeah.
Like
I mean, we just,
you get a little older and you realize that first off, the quarry's 300 feet deep. Secondly, it's full of dead bodies and
that
cars.
was always the rumor, right?
Yeah,
it's like somebody dies here every year.
Like, wow,
it's
when
like
we
Stand
were
By Me.
15 or 16, we hung out there all day and swam and jumping off 60-foot cliffs and swimming, and no parents in sight. It was amazing.
Nobody. Yeah, I just there was so much to that. And I value that. And I think that was partly why I got my bike off the rafters and
I need a picture
repaired.
of the bike.
I'll send it to you.
I need a picture of that bike.
Sure.
And I hope your daughter or your family or whoever understands. Well, they don't understand.
I got made fun of. When I went to pick it up. There were kids in there, and my nephew was there. Logan was there.
How old?
And he saw me. He's like 13, 14.
And he laughed at you.
He and his friends were like, "What is that?" Yeah. I was like, "That's my childhood bike." And they're like, "What?"
You don't realize.
They were like, "What?" I'm like, "Guys, it has a road. It's got the rotor. The pegs, front and rear pegs. It's got the 360 handlebar. Or was it rotary or whatever? Yeah, I was like, and it had the double bar, low profile frame, mag wheels.
You haven't lived young Logan or whatever until you've given.
They're looking at me like I'm an idiot.
All the way to the convenience store to buy Mountain Dews on a summer day with your best friend on the back and another friend sitting on the handlebars with his feet on the front pegs, and you're just cruising down the road, center of the road, middle of the day. Your parents are at work, no clue what you're doing.
Life is good.
The dream.
Well,
good.
We were. And I like to think even today, maybe we're still living a little bit of that dream. And
I am. I'm having a great time. I'm having more fun at 48 than I was at 28 because of the things that I've grown as a man finally. And, it helped graduating from UBI. Absolutely. I felt accomplished. And, parents didn't show up when I walked across the stage, but I'm not bitter.
Fucking love you.
Just kidding, Dad.
That's awesome.
It's a 2-week certificate. It's not a big deal.
Well, I will say this. I like who I am better today.
I do too.
Than I was at 28.
I do.
I'm a much better human being. And I try to hold myself to that every single day. And that, I think, to me, is the most important part.
Be a good person. Lead by example.
That's it.
Be open. Be approachable.
Make an impact. And the one thing I can say for sure, and something that I'm working on every single day, because somebody that I look up to in the fire service, I said this to him not too long ago. I said, the one thing about you that I truly value is your intent. I said, when you speak with intent. I said, when you speak, people stop and listen. You don't speak a lot, but when you do, it's got an incredible impact on the people around you. I am working I used to be the loud guy that always had something to say. And now today I'm trying to define myself by being more intentional than ever before. I want to be that way. I want to speak with intent so that when I do speak, people will take pause and listen, and that I bring value to the conversation. And that for me is very important, and I'm working hard at being more intentional in everything that I do.
I don't think you have to try. Stop trying.
I do. But I appreciate that.
But because like we said earlier, I've never felt like you were trying to sell me something. And so
not genuine, selling, but just bloviate. I think the word is bloviate. My buddy said that to me one day, and I looked at him. I go, "What the hell is that?" He goes, "You talk for the sake of talking sometimes." And I go, "You're right." He's right. Sometimes I talk in circles. A lot of times with how I am, I'm always trying to find my words and try to unpack what's up here to get it out so that the listener can understand where I'm coming from. So I bloviate. I believe that's where I'm going to look it up in a minute. But my buddy said, you bloviate. And so that to me came at a time where I was talking about the importance of intent. And, I want to be intentional, more intentional.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. I want to be honest. I've known for a long time that if you can make people laugh they're listening, and then you can sprinkle in. Travis House does a great. I'll give him another prop. He does a really good job in his I'm gonna call it a performance in his talk. He'll get real serious, but only after he's made you laugh. So it's almost like I'm at a comedy because he was a stand-up comedian as well too. He's going to make you laugh for 5 minutes, and then he's going to take you down, and we're going to get real serious to where you're going to reach over and you're going to grab your wife's hand, because what he's saying is hitting you so deep, and your wife has felt that, and she'll look at you, and she'll tear up a little bit, and she'll just grab your hand, and you'll go, yeah, and you'll get chills like I'm getting now and then he'll make you laugh again, and he's doing this thing, and 2 hours later you're like, oh my God. It was, I don't know. It was amazing. Way to go, Travis. I don't know. Point of the story is I don't know what I'm doing. And I like
how about you took time to go with your wife and someone else to, take time out of your schedule in life to go listen to somebody that inspires you. I think there's a lot to that. And I don't, years ago, I would have been like, what are you doing? And today I'm like, man, that's awesome.
There was 2,000-3,000 people there, just like me.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Well, that's fun. I think everybody needs to be inspired, and everybody needs to find influence. It helps us, and positive influence. And I think it helps. And conversations like this today with you help.
Absolutely.
I love it.
You never
Thanks,
know.
buddy.
You never know who's listening.
Well, so give me a little rundown on the CIV. Conversation is ventilation. People that aren't familiar, right? Maybe they're hearing you for the first time. Give people a little rundown where you are, who you are, what you do, why you do. Well, we know that now.
I'm coining it. It's an awareness program. Conversation is ventilation, CIV, mostly on YouTube, so you can look at my face. Apple Podcasts and Spotify,
Have you put together the class now?
I'm slowly kind of piecing it together on what I want it to look like. I'm sticking with the phrase awareness program, because I guess what I'm trying to do is just spark a conversation in your firehouse or your life or with you and your wife. I just want to be the guy that makes you aware of this and has a conversation. And it can be about anything. I don't like planning things. I don't like scripting. I don't like boxing things in. It's just I don't want to sit here and tell you I'm going to post a video every day or have a new guest every Wednesday. I just want to be, I don't know.
Well, it's part of your process and part of your therapy and healing also.
I think sometimes when
you have something to say or something you want to do.
Yeah, because people will come across and you'll have a great conversation. And it's not recorded. It's not on the internet, but you might have had a group of 10 or 12 first responders having a really good conversation. It doesn't need to be put on the internet, but what we're doing behind the scenes, or and I don't know, we're just gonna. It's kind of like when I went to the United Bicycle Institute. I said, let's just see where this goes.
I love everything about that, and that really sums up what this is all about.
I don't know.
It really is. It's who you are. It's this. You are a unique guy who has an interest and love for, I think, finding yourself, which now you want to bring that forward to help those around you.
I hope I can make you laugh. I hope I can make you comfortable, or maybe, I don't know, whatever.
Well, you do, and you and I have talked about maybe doing some more work together, and I want to explore that further with you, because I think that you and I have something a lot of fun that I think people will get tremendous value out of this, episode today. And, and it's not even that. The first 15 minutes of this conversation today was just a lot of fun. I mean, that was, for me, we're in the trenches all the time talking about things. You're talking about your program. I'm talking about mine. We're doing fire department stuff. Man, is it fun and refreshing to go down the road of something different with somebody? You know what I mean?
Yeah. People, they're listening. They're listening to what you're saying, and they want to, and the reach is so far, and you'll never know the true reach that you've had, and it's okay. It doesn't have to be. This isn't that serious. It's kind of. I think that's what he said the first day of bike school.
I bet.
Yeah,
I bet he did.
These are bikes.
Your WD-40 and a crescent wrench. Let's go.
Yeah, relax. We're all valedictorians in this school.
Love that. Don't worry. Even maybe your parents will come see you graduate.
They're proud of me. They've told me.
I'm sure.
I don't know. Have a good
keep
time.
telling yourself that.
Have a good time.
I love that. The Shimek, thank you, brother. It is always great to catch up with you, and thank you.
I love having you. I love seeing you. I love everything you're doing. Yeah. Every time you get near me, I'm going to sneak up on you and buy you a beer.
Well, you got to get up here. So we're in the new studios now, the new offices. It's awesome. We got, I'm so excited. In the next couple of weeks, people are going to start seeing new types of content, new backdrops, new this, new that. This is a full production facility now. It's awesome. And,
I love it.
So I'm excited.
I love
so we got to get you up to the Dirty Jers. We'll get you up to the Dirty Jers. And,
I've never been, and yeah, absolutely. I would love
Well, you could drive from Georgia, right? You're in Georgia, so
Alabama,
you could
North
drive. What?
Northern Alabama, Huntsville.
Oh, Alabama. That's right. I'm sorry. Yes, I knew that. Northern Alabama, you could drive to Jersey probably in the time it took you to get down to Fairhope. So it's going to be the same amount of time probably. So,
but
listen, man, I
got to go. So yeah,
I appreciate you very, very much, and thank you for the therapy session today. I needed
You're welcome.
This,
Thanks for having me. Hi to everyone out there, and tune in. You know,
cool. Stay right here. I'm going to sign off. I'll get right back to you. Okay, hang on. Good, guys. Thanks for tuning in for another episode of the National Fire Radio Podcast. What a fantastic conversation, and that's exactly what this is. Conversation is ventilation. The CIV podcast. The Shimek. I was going to say Chris Shimek, but nobody knows him that way. They just know him as the Shimek. Check him out on YouTube and all the other channels that are out there. He's doing some really great stuff, and his message is strong. He's not a bad-looking guy, and he's got a little bit of a personality on him, so he's pretty good. So I appreciate his friendship, but I appreciate all of you being here, too, for this episode. And like I say at the end of every episode, take this conversation, take it back to the firehouse, and talk about it, because when we're talking about the job, we are making the job better. I'll see you at the next one. Jeremy, National Fire Radio.
National Fire Radio.